Izmir residents received support following Saturday's earthquake that killed and left many injured. President Ouattara calls for calm amid rising tension over his third term in office. As countries continue to record COVID-19 cases, there is a vaccine on its final stage, WHO says. These and more coming on News Desk. Good afternoon. You're watching News Desk with me, Sahna Tunkara, and now to the rest. And now more details in our stories. Following a devastating earthquake in Tuesday's western Izmir province that left many injured and others killed, local residents, including hotel owners, are out offering support to victims by providing accommodation. Since the Friday incident, the government has deployed several agencies to render immediate assistance to affected people and providing shelter to the homeless victims. The president has promised to build new homes for the earthquake survivors as soon as possible, while acknowledging the overwhelming support he received from his colleagues around the world. Details of that in this report.
The deadly earthquake left hundreds in Turkey's Izmir province homeless, as more than 24 buildings were either completely destroyed or seriously damaged. The government provided shelter in several fitness centers and dormitories and distributed thousands of tents. But ordinary citizens in Turkey are stepping up to offer their support too. Many hotels in Izmir joined a campaign to help victims by offering free accommodations.
What we are trying to do is create solidarity, and I believe we have succeeded. They are calling us from all over Turkey. People are trying to support with blankets and other things.
The Emens Hotel is one of those that has opened its doors to people in need. Victims are welcome to stay or enjoy a warm meal, all free of charge.
We are in such a period. There's already the coronavirus and people are already afraid. They're staying outdoors, and that's why we wanted to offer accommodation. We didn't put a time limit on it. They can stay until they have a home they can return to. Our door is always open to everyone.
This young mother said she was grateful the Emens Hotel provided a safe place for her and her young child after authorities declared their building too dangerous following the earthquake.
We had to evacuate urgently. It was evening hours. Thanks to them, we did not have to stay in our car another night. I can even say it's more comfortable than my home here.
On Saturday, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan vowed to build new homes for the earthquake's victims as soon as possible. He said he was appreciative, too, of an overwhelming international outpouring of support in the face of this disaster, noting he'd heard from 88 global leaders.
President Barrow has been criticized by many for recalling ambassadors, especially those that are thought to be close to the United Democratic Party. Many hold the conviction that his action has been warranted by the fallout he has with the UDP party after sacking its leader. But to President Barrow, it is a new initiative that his government has taken. Details of that in this report. In an exclusive interview with iAfrica TV State House, the president says his government has taken new reforms to replace the old guards with young ones, and this has manifested in the recalling of the aging ambassadors, which he says has nothing to do with politics.
I don't recall people based on politics. Even the person you are appointed, do you know which party he is supporting? Do you know? You don't know. In here, you don't know what is in there. But part of our reforms, I think we want younger people now to come in. People who have retired, 70 years, I think it's time now. They give chance to young people. And we are appointing young ambassadors. Younger, far younger than those. Look at all the new appointments. Younger appointments. Far younger than the people who were there. It's part of our reforms. That's it.
Of recent, President Barrow has appointed Bakari Baji as the new Minister for Youth and Sports, and that appointment was hailed by across the country. It has been ranked as the best appointment for the Barrow-led coalition government. Has Honorable Baji's appointment opened an avenue for many youth to get into the Barrow administration, or is it just the end of the beginning for the youth?
Yes, I'm part of our reforms. We want younger people to be in government. To me, I don't know whether that is what is going to happen, but I think that the next president will be younger than me. So that's why we want to encourage young people to take leadership. That is the reality. Young people, we believe that they are smart, they are strong, they have energy. I think they can carry the responsibility of governance in the future. That's why we are trying to encourage them. You will see more young people in my government in the future, definitely.
For political systems to be representative, all parts of society must be included. When young people are disengaged from political processes, a significant part of the population will have From that, the Ivorian president has called for an end to protests as he cast his vote in Abidjan in Saturday's presidential elections. Ivory Coast has witnessed a series of riots since Alassane Ouattara defied the constitutional term limit and announced that he will run again. Julden Jaiswale reports.
At least 5 people were killed and several more injured in clash on election day, according to officials. After voting in Abidjan, President Ouattara called for an end to the protests.
Un appel à ceux qui ont lancé ces mots d'ordre de désobéissance civile.
I call on those who have called for civil disobedience, which led to deaths, to stop. They should stop because Ivory Coast needs peace. These are criminal acts, and we hope that all of this can stop so that after the election, the country will continue the progress it has made over the last 9 years.
At least 14 people have been killed since riot broke out in August, following Ouattara's controversial bid to secure a third term in office. The president is expected to win re-election after his opponents call for a boycott of the vote in protest against what they say is an illegal bid to hold on to power. However, President Ouattara is of the belief that the approval of a new constitution in 2016 means that he is not violating the 2-term limit. President Alassane Ouattara said young people should not be allowed to be manipulated, and that once elected, his government's program will be focused on youth employment.
Je vais compter sur l'ensemble de nos concitoyens.
I want to rely on all our fellow citizens as I call for peace, to tell our young people not to let themselves be manipulated. When it comes to their future, they will see that if I'm elected, the governmental program that I propose to our fellow citizens will be program focused on employment for young people. I say to young people, trust me, we have a beautiful country, things are going well, keep having confidence in the future because it is our future we can talk about.
Opposition leaders in Ivory Coast have called for a civilian transition. As early results saw the incumbent Ouattara leading the 20 districts that were announced from Saturday's vote by the Electoral Commission. However, results from the other 88 districts are expected to be announced on Monday. For iAfrica News, I am Julden Jaiswale.
From that report by Julden Jaiswale, COVID-19 doctors raise alarm over hospital capacity amid second wave. Doctors treating coronavirus patients at the Saccola de Verraz Hospital in Verraz, Lombardy, are raising the alarm about the hospital's ability to cope with the second wave of the virus as they went from one intense care unit to the other. This is happening as the virus is now in full swing across Europe.
As scientists rush to find a vaccine for the novel coronavirus, the impending second wave of COVID-19 was predicted for the winter, but has arrived sooner than it was expected. With the number of active cases in the European nation, this new wave has put the situation beyond control, and a catastrophe may soon ensue. Dr. Luca Cabrini is the head of intensive therapy in Italy.
Abbiamo prima convertito la rianimazione generale.
We had a period in this summer when we thought this nightmare that we lived through in March and April was behind us. We had just enough time to catch our breath to hope that it was over. But then, a series of events. I don't really know what they were exactly, but they had brought us back here. living through the same nightmare, and this time we are more tired, more worn out, and also a bit frustrated because, as I said, we really thought we had beaten this thing.
The chief therapist has a message for those who are pessimistic about the devastation of the coronavirus pandemic.
Until now, we haven't seen these strong images that we saw in the first wave. When one sees a queue of trucks with coffins in them, it's obvious that there is no need to say anything else. The country is ready for a lockdown, and everyone is ready to make the maximum of sacrifice so that we don't have to see those sorts of scenes again.
Currently, more than 100 COVID-19 vaccine candidates are under development, with a number of these in the human trial phase. WHO is working in collaboration with partners to speed up the pandemic response and will facilitate the equitable access and distribution of these vaccines to protect people in all countries. Experts have said that the second wave could be even worse than the first, which hit the country in February. Italy has close to 650,000 cases, one of the highest in the world, with 38,321 deaths and over 225,000 recoveries. The total case globally stands at 45.5 million, with over 1.19 million deaths and 30.6 million recoveries. For iAfrica TV, I am Omar Ahmadu Toure.
We will now take a short commercial break and continue with the rest of our stories. Stay tuned. Welcome back. It could be recalled that many unscientific medicines were produced as to test whether it can cure the pandemic. The COVID-19 said to have effects on the virus but was not scientifically proven by WHO. However, Dr. Tedros, Director General of the World Health Organization, outlines that the COVID-19 vaccines are on its final trial phase to test its effectiveness against coronavirus.
With global COVID-19 cases rising, Europe is witnessing a second wave of the virus, which prompted a lockdown in some countries as a step to contain the spread of the virus. Many tried cures to eradicate the pandemic, like the COVID organic, Malagasy from Madagascar, and the Russian vaccine, which were not approved by the WHO as they were not scientifically proven to cure the virus. The WHO Director General Ghebreyesus says there is hope at the end of the hurdles. Several COVID-19 vaccines will soon be available in the effective fight against the pandemic.
And there is light at the end of the tunnel. As well as rapid tests and dexamethasone, several vaccines are now in final phase 3 trials. If proved safe and effective, they will be rolled out through the ACT Accelerator's vaccine arm, the COVAX facility, which is now supported by 186 countries. I thank Lebanon and Botswana for joining recently.
As the pandemic caught countries unprepared, Director General Ghebreyesus calls on world leaders to stop politicizing the pandemic and invest in their health systems.
Governments should focus on tackling the virus and avoid politicization. No matter where they are in terms of the outbreak, they should keep investing in the health system and workforce and improving testing, tracing, and treatment of all cases.
Meanwhile, Dr. Michael Ryan, the Executive Director of WHO Emergencies Program, says no country should be blamed as many of them got the virus unaware. He further adds that the globe should learn from the first wave and the impact it had on the people.
Some countries got disease early without the knowledge we have now. So we should not judge individual countries. In that sense, the real judgments don't come in the first wave of any epidemic because nobody has all the information. The question is right now, we have seen this wave pass over the earth. We have seen approaching 50 million people infected, confirmed. We're seeing over 1 million deaths. The question is, are we willing to apply the learning? Many people have paid a heavy price. Have we learned? Yes, we have.
The virus has reached a second wave in European countries as lockdown measures have been imposed to contain it from further spread. Many world leaders said they are prepared for the second wave should it enter their countries again. Globally, there are 45.5 million people infected with the virus, with 1.19 million deaths and 30.6 million recoveries. For iAfrica News, I am Mariama Cham.
Vulnerable groups in South Africa still need more support as the country faces risks of COVID-19 resurgence, according to a rapid needs assessment report by the country's Social Development Department. The report indicated some areas were the most affected during the health crisis and more needed to be done to uplift their living conditions. South Africa is the hardest hit nation in Africa by the pandemic. Experts are calling for consideration of the vulnerable during such challenging times. More in this report.
Despite significant strides made by government to soften the blow of the COVID-19 pandemic, more still needs to be done to assist the vulnerable as the country faces a risk of resurgence. That's according to the COVID-19 Rapid Needs Assessment Report. South Africa's Social Development Department commissioned the United Nations Development Programme to conduct the research with a particular focus on vulnerable groups.
The study comes at an opportune time as our economy opens up. It will help inform our thinking and contribute to the evidence base needed for our decision.
The report reveals that the human impact of the pandemic has been devastating with huge income losses and that it is mostly adversely affecting the poorest in the country.
The report depicts that the differentiated impact caused by spatial segregation, discrimination, and marginalization is really vivid and clear. Those living in townships and informal settlements have difficulty in complying with the public health guidance and are most at risk in catching the virus. It is women who have borne the brunt of recent unemployment, as has been depicted again in the report, and it is rural areas where unemployment and hunger are most concentrated.
The key recommendation includes raising the COVID-19 relief grant. The special COVID-19 grant afforded to poor households was extended to a further 3 months.
It's a reminder that for so many inhabitants of South Africa, the social safety net that government grants provide is a vital lifeline, and the extension of grants in response to COVID-19 has enabled them to endure this crisis.
I'm hoping that this report is going to be utilized so that we can develop the right interventions and make sure that South Africa takes the next step coming out of COVID. We must be in the forefront of ensuring that this report does not end up in the shelves or does not end up gathering dust somewhere. It is a report that we need to make sure that we implement.
The launch of the report coincides with the end of Social Development Month, which is commemorated every year in October. Social Development Month marks the country's commitment to caring for the most vulnerable, particularly at these challenging times.
That was all on News Desk today. Good afternoon.